And we are back again. It's your friendly neighborhood film watchers. We are Frankly Football. I'm your humble host, Brandon, and I got my man, Honey Grant. Set it off, Chris, with me. Chris, you mobile today. How you feeling today, Chris?
Hey man, just get off the grind and decided, hey, let's get in here and jump at it. Work on consistency. You already dropped a couple videos from what we taped the other day, and we're just kind of breaking down how we feel about this offense, and we've come to the the playmakers, the yak masters, the dudes, that's trying to run it up, and that's what we're talking about. We're going to talk about these wide receivers, man. The most the position that we have currently kind of just neglected. There was a time we were getting wide receivers and guys were developing. You had a room with Amari Cooper, young, healthy Michael Gallup, Cedric Wilson. CeeDee Lamb comes along. You turn around and go get a Randall Cobb, and you're like, we cooking with something. And then, man, start messing around with old joystick Moore. Kellen Moore. And now you got questions all around the room. So we're gonna break down this wide receiver room and what we're looking for in camp, man. What we're looking at.
So the thing about the wide receiver room is it's very top heavy, and while we do it, I believe that CeeDee Lamb is one of the top 3 receivers in the league, right? Top 3, without question. Besides that, it's like Gladys Knight and the Pips. None of those guys have any name recognition. So it's CeeDee Lamb and the Pips as far as that receiver position is concerned.
Yeah, and ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. You got a lot of questions. You got a lot of questions in that room. Like you said, you got CeeDee, top 3, top 5, depends on who wants to, try to make the argument. And then the drop-off is precipitous. You've got Brandon Cooks, up until last year, was 1,000-yard a season kind of guy. Kind of dipped a little bit last year. And then, last year you were kind of trying to see if Michael Gallup or would Michael Gallup return to form? And then you were going to see if some of the young guys would step up.
Exactly, man. And this year, you don't really have any of those concerns injury-wise about a player like you did with Michael Gallup. But you're hoping that guys will step up for different reasons because, who else is there? Brandon Cooks is getting older. Brandon Cooks, I think, is going to be 30 this year.
Okay.
His touchdown ability was much needed in the offense last year, and hopefully he continues that. But, Father Time is undefeated, right? I think this is the first year in a long time that Brandon Cooks didn't have 1,000 yards.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of different spots he was at, he got 1,000 yards. He got 1,000 yards with the Texans. He had gotten 1,000 yards with the Rams. He had got 1,000 yards with the Patriots. He got 1,000 yards with the Saints. So he had a history of getting 1,000 yards. But last year, CeeDee was an absolute nightmare, and Cooks' ability to stretch the defense, and that's what we needed him to do. But because he got hurt and he never kind of quite got it going that a certain kind of way. So, that's what we had to deal with him with last year. He didn't hit that top. But now you're looking for your third-year receiver, guy, that you got out of South Alabama, and you're waiting for him for everything to click, And I think this might be his year.
Yeah, you're talking about Jalen Tolbert. And the thing about Tolbert, he's always been a guy that's been trying to climb up out of the hole, So, right. Yes, we're hoping that he makes that next step. But in a lot of ways, it's like, what proof do you have that he will? Of course, there's optimism, there's upside and things like that.
Well, I think I always handicap his first year. And for me, because he was working underneath Kellen Moore and he was option route city, but nobody at that other NFC team, they ain't gonna believe me, but no problem. They'll learn on their own. Yeah. But I kind of give him a pass for his first year. Last year, I thought he would just take the next step with Michael Gallup kind of showing his regression and things of that nature. So this is his year. This is his third year. He's on a 4-year deal, and this is his year to go make some noise. And in all honesty, because he's got to fight for that to push Brandon Cooks, he's got to work to push Brandon Cooks off the roster.
Yeah.
His goal should be to the point, I want to take those number 2 snaps. I want to relegate Brandon Cooks to the slot and go in that direction. But I think that's huge for him this year.
So in a lot of ways, are you looking to see more of Jalen Tolbert? Well, I'll even expand beyond Tolbert. Are you looking to see more of the down roster receivers rather than trying to get Lamb and Cooks, all revved up into rotation?
First off, I just need CeeDee Lamb to show up to camp. And CeeDee said he's not showing up until, his money's right. And I can totally understand that. Right. And I absolutely understand it. I was able to listen to and just shout out to all the content creators, man, who've been doing such an outstanding job with it. Vach, Brian Broadus, Foots the King, Skywalker Steel, talking to any and everybody. And I've kind of been, listening to what they're saying and what I've been reading myself. And what I realize is that, he is the cream in the coffee. He stirs the sugar in this thing. He is that guy. Yeah. So you got to do that. But my thing is, I don't need to see him in camp. I need him to be able to be ready to go for the season. I need Cropper to show me something. I need Jalen Brooks to have an opportunity to show what he can do. I need, Jalen Tolbert to take the next step so that I can have a legitimate second and third and maybe fourth wide receiver. I already know who my second top pass catcher is going to be, but I need those guys to be able to be a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, see, Chris, I like to be like the puppet master, right? I like to be. I'm a schemer, if you understand.
Okay.
Normally, I would say, I'm ready to see Kevontae Turpin, but I got other plans for Kevontae Turpin in this head of mine. Deep in the recesses of my frontal cortex, I have plans for Kevontae Turpin.
Okay.
I want him to take snaps and running back, right? See, that is where my wheels are going. But I think that he's also primed to take that leap because he isn't necessarily fresh in football terms in general. He has experience in the other league, right? So maybe that's a leg up over a lot of the other down roster guys.
I like your thinking, and I'm gonna always give you that love for saying, hey, I see where you're going with that, with him playing running back, and I definitely want him playing, giving me maybe 9 to 10 snaps.
I'd be cool with that.
7. I need maybe 15 snaps, but I need about 7 to 10 touches for Kevontae Turpin in this offense. In
a lot of ways, I think that he gives you the most variety for your offense because he has a very he has things that you can't teach. You can't teach.
Listen,
right? You can't teach shiftiness, and
you don't have that
in a lot of X factor qualities for your offense.
Right, and you don't have that kind of speed in your backfield. Let's just be honest. You have no juice in your backfield, so you might as well go ahead and go with a guy who can give you some juice, and that's what he does. So I love the fact that if I can get him 7 to 10 touches this year, maybe 12 to make it a little bit exciting, kind of something along the lines what you wanted to do with Tony Pollard that third year, going to that third year because you knew he had the chance to break one. You don't have that in the backfield. Yeah, let me go with that. To mix it inside the mix with Rico, Hunter Lemke, Kevontae Turpin, sprinkle a little deuce where I can, and probably keep us from having to throw the ball 40, 45 times a game. That's what I'm trying to bring. I really want to keep my all pro quarterback at about 30 to 35 passes a game, but that's what I want to look at.
Sure enough, man. Sure enough. Now looking at other guys, I think that when you think of like a Jalen Brooks, a Jalen Moreno Cropper, we got a lot of Jalens, But when you think of like all of those other guys, Jalen Tolbert included, you don't really have to like what's the best way to say it without like sounding bad towards them? They're good receivers. They were good receivers in college. But what do you think is preventing them from taking the step forward? Is it because it was too many guys ahead of him? Is it because
I think
we know what Jalen Tolbert's situation is. He couldn't, just like a lot of guys couldn't adapt to Kellen Moore's offensive scheme. What do you think is holding, a couple of those down roster guys who have been here for a year, 2, 3 years, etc.? What do you think is holding them back from taking the next step?
I think the only thing that's keeping Jalen Brooks off the field was the fact of the matter that there were too many guys ahead of him. He had Tolbert. He had a Michael Gallup. He had, Brandon Cooks. Michael Gallup moving off of this team opens the door for Jalen Brooks to really compete for that fourth wide receiver position. And he is totally up to it. So just to give you some context, Jalen Brooks was at the University of South Carolina. I had an opportunity to visit South Carolina, have a little bit in the recruiting world with my son. And Jalen Brooks was one of the guys that kept the first-round draft pick, Xavier Legette, kind of at bay. Xavier Legette was a kickoff returner his junior year. And Xavier Legette was like the third or fourth receiver on that football team. Brooks moves on, very, very tough, a very focused young man. And I think he's going to come in this year and be able to be that guy that helps us push in that fourth wide receiver spot. And then kind of gives you the easing in of, I can get Brandon Cooks through the season and then turn around next year. I got CD. I've got Tolbert going into his final year of his contract. I've got Brooks emerging, and then I can go draft another young wide receiver.
Okay. And just like you said, Brooks was one of those guys who kind of he was a cog in the machine in college. If that's the best way to describe him, he was a cog in their machine. He kept things running, right?
Right.
I just wonder if that Dallas being a team that historically doesn't really give like those down roster guys too much of a chance.
No, that's not true though. That's not true because one of their greatest down the roster wide receivers was Miles Austin. Miles Austin came in there and got working, went and got paid. So Dallas, that's part of the stigma and that's part of the lore of the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, taking this guy from the bottom. One of our own best friends, Jesse Holly, was what? Yeah. A guy off a reality show. So
yeah, I think things are a little different down though. I think things are a little different now. The team seems to be attached at the hip to the money. That you can always follow the money to figure out who's going to get the most snaps.
Well, I mean, but the thing about it, in this situation, the guy who's hopefully gets paid in the next 7 to 10 days, he deserves to get the most snaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we can't get away from who the Joneses are. They like them young, talented, healthy, and cheap.
There we go. That's the most important one right there.
And cheap. So I think that they're going to try to get as much as they can out of those young wide receivers. You look, like I said, you're looking at a Cropper, you're looking at a Flournoy, you hope he's a draft pick. They love their own. So, my man, Mr. Church asked, what do you expect out of wide receiver 3? I'm expecting out of wide receiver 3 this year, 25 catches, 300 yards maybe, and a couple of tuds, man. I need him to be that outside option that once I've sent that double CD, I got a linebacker trailing on Fergie, and Cooks is taking a guy over the top. He catches 8, 9, 10 out route. He come in and do a curl, maybe do a slant, and be that kind of guy that continues to develop as Rain trusts him more. That's all I'm expecting.
Now that's kind of like a understated issue with the position, right? If CD is taken away from the game, whether it's they're doubling him or he just has a very, very good corner on him that's doing their job correctly. We've seen in the moment where it mattered most, we haven't really had that guy to depend on last year. So
yeah,
I think that we're going to be in position where a guy can actually step up when he's needed.
Listen, I really need, and he came to a lot of ire with a lot of people, a lot of Cowboys fans past couple of weeks when he was talking about CD's workout and training. Rain has never had outside of his first couple of years, another Cole Beasley. A shifty, get open always type of guy, and that's what your third wide receiver this year is going to have to be. I've never seen Cooks be that guy, so that's got to be kind of Tolbert's thing to be able to be the crafty route runner, and I think he can do it. He showed flashes of that at South Alabama. Very explosive playmaker type of guy, but I need him to be that. Hey, I'm going to get open guy. You know, hey, I'm going to turn this. You know, this whip route, be wide open, catch him for 4 yards, and turn it into 8, and starting to be that pesky kind of guy that okay, now I got to cover him, and now I got to pay attention to him, which gives me more room for Ferguson to work the middle of the field, which Rain loves. Rain loves throwing the seam routes. He loves working the middle of the field, and then CD just being CD. So that's what we need, man. That's going to be a huge position. Wide receiver 3, whoever takes control of that spot this year, I think he can work himself into a viable role inside the offense.
Do you have a name? Do you have a guy that you're rooting for the most?
Me personally,
yeah.
I want to see Jalen Brooks emerge. And the reason I want Jalen Brooks to emerge is because, like I said, my ties to a friend of mine who's in the coaching world. He coaches at the University of Illinois, Justin Stepp. He, like I said, he was a wide receiver coach down in South Carolina. Really good guy. And, you know, I just want – we always talked about Jalen and his opportunity. When he went to Dallas, he said, you know, he wanted to see him flourish. So I want Jalen Brooks to, you know, have an opportunity to make that step so that in 24, he shows he can play and then get his big chance in 25. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know
audition form is what you're saying.
Right, because
this whole year is the preliminary.
Right, because if things don't go the way we expected, you know, you got Florida, you got you know, Tolbert, you got Brooks. We got to find out somehow we're gonna fill this wide receiver room out, because right now, man, you know, you don't know what you have, but I want those guys that and because we don't really participate in free agency, those are the guys I got to work with.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'm playing spades, and you know, I got a 10, I got a jack, I got the big joker and CD, but I got a 10 and a jack, and I'm just trying to see if this queen can walk. But you know, that's what I'm looking at.
Sure enough, man. Even though, like I said, I want to see him at a different position, man, I would love to see them use Kevontae Turpin more. And maybe that kind of goes hand in hand. You know, if you haven't watched our video talking about the running back room, you know, go check that out. But I think that they have to get Turpin incorporated into the offense because he provides things that a lot of guys don't. He doesn't have the size of a Tolbert or Brooks, but he's much faster than them, and I believe shifty. I think that he also has he also seems to have quite a good understanding of the playbook.
I mean, he's got to listen. Kevontae Turpin could have himself in a position right now with us and being a hero, but he decided to run into the back of his own guy on a punt return, a kickoff return in San Francisco. So I question his vision. You're a big guy with vision when it comes to running backs. So I don't know how great his vision is, but what I need is juice in another room. We were talking offline. You know, you're looking at, you know, for me, the best rooms each side of the ball is the linebacker room and the quarterback room. Yeah. I need to be excited about. I need to be excited about.
That's so bad. It's so bad when you got to say the only room that we are satisfied with, or the best room, etc., is the quarterback room. We can't even hang our hat on the wide receiver room or on the running back room or on the offensive line that we've been able to do.
Listen, man. First off, okay, my feeling with that is, what do I know I have?
Exactly.
With I got an offensive line coach that 2 years ago didn't want to play my first round draft pick until a man ripped some meat off his daggum bone and he was forced to play him. So I see he's back up to the same stuff. I need my running game scheme to be revamped, and I don't have a back on the roster, which we've already talked about, that I feel comfortable breaking a 20-yard run.
Yeah.
So I gotta figure out ways to find a shifty, speedy guy to be able to do that. So that's why I want Turpin. And I think it gives Turpin the ability to be able to do more because he's not big enough to be a great wide receiver.
Sure.
He's kind of prototypical to be an NFL running back. So if he can be the bridge to the running back I get in 2025, so be it.
There you go.
You
don't got to do it forever, just for now.
I need him to give me a great run here in 24.
Yeah.
And I'll be, you know what I'm saying, and I'm good with that.
Okay. See, I didn't plan on this being just a whole Kevontae Turpin stream, right? Like this whole live show isn't devoted to Kevontae Turpin for me, but it's like I believe that he is the biggest opportunity for exclamation point. If we're being fair, I'll even say on the whole offense, given how many question marks we have on running back, I think that Kevontae Turpin gives you the most opportunity for excitement, and that's because of the variety that he gives. Church in the comments said he wants to see him get 6 rushes, 4 catches a game. You know, if he can get 10 touches a game, you know, in the year, you know, with somewhere around
that's great. That's basically what you want from your second, you know, your second back, auxiliary back. You know, you want the carries to be divvied up pretty nicely. We had talked about what Vegas said about Zeke. I'm kind of going ahead and put a little bit of bread on that because I can see that coming down the pipe. But you know, just going back to the wide receivers, I think the room is lacking, and there's question marks around it because of how the Joneses have handled certain things. You know, this was one of the deepest wide receiver classes we've seen in a long time, and me and you have always thought that's kind of going to be the norm for now. Whereas the running back position is going to the point where it's not at the premier spot. Wide receivers are because they're you know, with 7-on-7s. They're coming out in college, and you can come as a wide receiver and getting 1,000 yards a wide receiver in the right scheme is like boom, drop of a hat. You know. Yeah. You know. And it's go ahead.
It is kind of like a catch-22 because I believe that receiver is probably one of the 2 positions where it's the easiest transition from the college level to the pro level, right? So it is kind of a catch-22, but it is extremely valuable at the same time. So but for them not to take one in a deeper class, man, it kind of makes you hang your head down a little bit. But I will say that given that a lot of teams have holes here and there, it could be another situation exactly like we predicted with the running back room, where maybe they'll go poach a guy if they're really not satisfied with the performance.
Well, I think for the most part, you're going to see a lot of them in training camp. You know, you're going to see a lot of, of the young wide receivers because I don't need to see, honestly, the top 2 at all. I don't need to see the top 2 at all. Let me
offer a rebuttal. Last year, Brandon Cook started the year kind of hobbled. And then it also took them some time to get him incorporated into the offense. We didn't really see Brandon Cooks kind of pan out until like week 9. That's when like his stock kind of went up. But so I would say that he's a guy that maybe I'll need to see more from because we didn't get him all of last year, and in the playoffs he disappeared. You know, just like the rest of the offense.
I'll give you. I feel you on that, but I think because he's had a year to be in the back, in the backyard with Dak. I think that rapport has been built. I think everybody's gonna come out guns smoking. You know, I need help. Yeah, my first 6-7 games, I need help. So I need to see my young guys under the bright lights making plays, and that way Rain can feel comfortable with using those guys in those stretches in those first 6-7 games. And then as that builds on, the rapport will grow. It'll grow. But last year it was far too many times. It was CD or nothing else.
Yeah.
It was Jake Ferguson or nothing else.
Absolutely.
I need those guys sprinkled in. But that's going to come with, better work at one of the other videos we're going to do in the O-line, and Mike McCarthy pulling the rabbit out of his hat because I don't have a every down back yet.
Now, you know what I don't want? I don't want another Dennis Houston situation where we have a guy who clearly isn't league ready, but we're just not doing anything about it and trotting him out there to get starting reps.
But Dennis Houston was a rookie. I wouldn't think you would have that problem with Tolbert because this is his third year. This is like, hey, in the old NFL, this is the year that's got to start coming together.
Yeah,
you know, this is if you're in college, you're a junior. This has got to start coming together right now, so you can make things happen. So I'm not thinking that that's going to be the case with them.
Okay. And I totally get that, man. I totally get that. You know, we've been on here for what, 26 minutes now. You got anything else you wanna talk about?
No, man. I just appreciate, I appreciate Church and everybody else that clicked in this. I know it's kind of impromptu that we hit it out, just hey, drop the line. But we will be doing this more often. We're gonna probably go live tomorrow, and we're gonna just keep walking in to get to camp. We got about 3 more days before they officially get to camp, and then we're gonna be in that wait and see. Waiting for every film, every rep, every report that comes out to try to figure out how this team is getting better. But
we got the benefit of as we've been doing this for a little bit, we personally know a few people with some sort of ilk that's going to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we can get some things that's needed.
Definitely, we'll get some insights, some reports, and things of that nature. But right now, man, it's a real big wait and see. It's not as bad as we think, but we definitely need people to develop. That's the one thing I think people think. Players come to the league and they're already developed. No, they're working off potential, and now it comes to the point of development. And for Jalen Tolbert, and for Jalen Brooks, and for Cropper, and for Florida being a rookie, this is the time to go to work. Time to go to work, man.
Yes, sir.
But you got it.
So if you stuck around for this 27, 28 minutes, and you haven't hit that like button already, shame on you. Same with the comment, share, subscribe. All of those go hand in hand. It's like fingers to the hand, right? Like, comment, share, subscribe, right?
That's it. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
There we go. So as always, I'm Brandon, and the things don't work without both of us, Chris. So
I appreciate
Chris always calls himself the Robin, but I think that's too humble. That's too humble. Robin eventually, went out and did his own thing, became Nightwing.
I like the Winter Soldier. I like the Winter Soldier better. You know what I'm saying? Kind of quiet, kind of laid back.
Every Captain America, we need a Winter Soldier. Like I always say.
That's it. That's it.
As always, man. We are Frankly Football, and until next time, peace.